Hey, Cinners, I'm Shannon,
And I'm Sean.
and this is Sinful Cuts.
All right, we are so happy tonight
Woo!
because we basically have this is like when the Blue Falcon guest starred on Scooby Doo, or when Laverne and Shirley showed up on Happy Days. We got a mashup going on. It's real good.
This is fun.
All of our listeners who weren't born in 1968 are like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
We'll throw a Voltron reference in there for like some of the weird millennials like me who got stuck on Toonami way too young.
Right?
Yeah.
We got a great team up going on here because we have Macabre Daily in the house, and we have got two of their freshest and finest. We have got Matt Orozco, and we have Lowell Greenblatt. And Sinners, you're going to get mad at me because I'm going to tell you what Macabre Daily is all about, but you certainly already follow them, and you certainly love everything they put out on a daily basis. Macabre Daily covers your news, your reviews, your opinion pieces by fans and for fans of the darker side of pop culture. They were established in 2020. I follow them daily on the website and on Instagram. And let me tell you, the job that you folks do there is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. You have become my go-to. Honestly, I'm a big Fangoria fan and Bloody Disgusting, but I start and I end my day with Macabre Daily because I just love what you do.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
I
I'm
always
blushing.
like
You didn't know
brand
it butter you guys up so good.
so it's nice to hear.
So before we get into Late Night with the Devil, which Sinners we are going to spoil from beginning to end, up and down from every angle, this movie is going to be horrifically spoiled for you. So if you haven't seen it, shut it off, go see it, come back, and please finish listening. But before
Please come back.
what's that?
Please come back.
Literally stop, go do that. Really, come right back. Don't even move a muscle. Stay in the same place.
Just pause us.
Yeah, don't even hit stop. Just hit pause. Exactly. Before I get into that, I did want to give you guys a minute just to talk about Macabre Daily, how you got into it. Give us a little bit of the history of how you became part of the team.
Well, sure. So, Lowell and I actually got involved with Macabre Daily at the same time. We were both living, I lived in Queens at the time. Lowell still lives in Queens.
Bayside.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were, obviously having that New York connection, and we both got solicited, I guess, through the now defunct, I think, Shockwaves group. Is that, have you heard about it?
They're themselves the deep end of horror, and they're still going on, but they're just kind of divorced from a podcast. They're just like, the group remains.
Okay. Well,
Awesome.
yeah, we got involved with this with a gentleman named Sam Santiago there, who was actually just looking for folks to do some writing, and so we responded and we got involved, and now we've been pretty much part and parcel with the site ever since. Well, what would you add? I think I just gave like the nickel tour there.
Yeah, it was in 2020. It was like I wouldn't say peak pandemic, because I think at the time, like, malaise was kind of setting in, and we were all thinking, "Oh, this is the dumbest apocalypse ever."
So haircuts.
To write on a website. I don't know if anyone's going to see it, but I get to write about horror, which I love, and it would be a nice distraction, which has translated to years later you asking me what's coming up, and I just disassociate a little bit because of all the things that I have to do, which is great. I'm not complaining, but I'm just like, when you stop to take a second and realize like how far we've come from a bunch of randos on the internet to like going to film premieres and like meeting Larry Fessenden, not to start like the plugs early, but like
I saw it. I was so jealous.
Yeah, it was nuts. And I saw Clay McLeod Chapman there too. I'm like, hey,
where don't you see Clay?
Seriously,
he's got be quintuplets for sure.
He's got clones.
He absolutely has clones. Clone McLeod Chapman. That's his new name.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I'm gonna message him that.
All right,
yeah, it's cool.
I appreciate the work that everyone does because it's hard. Let's be honest. It can be a grind. It is. Horror is what we love. I mean, Lowell, just to give you everyone a little bit of backstory, Lowell and I met at the Necromantic Brewery for Clay McLeod Chapman and Robert Atone reading, which was so much damn fun. And it's like what happens when horror kids kind of get together in a room and you're a little introvert at first and you like horror, I like horror, you like horror, and then
it's the dog park thing. It's like, oh yeah, I got to sniff this one's ass real quick. Yep. Oh, you're into the extreme shit. All right.
A lot of Italian there. All right, we can work with it.
This smells Italian. I'm good with this one.
Yeah. We were saying this to Clay McLeod Chapman. It's 45 minutes later, and then you're talking about, did you watch Gargoyles, the made-for-TV movie Gargoyles, in the den or the basement? Oh, you were in the basement? Oh, I watched it. And then then it's 2 hours later, and you're on your, I don't know, your fourth or fifth Guinness, and then you're friends, and that's
yeah, and that's how that works.
Yeah,
because of that night, I still have to interview Clay, but I interviewed Robert a few weeks later. And we just sat down to lunch and I wound up talking to him for 2 hours, but going off on tangents that I haven't posted this yet. I cut out so much talking about the DCEU, but I left in everything about Halloween Ends. So I just have to say, if you ever have a Halloween Ends episode, I haven't checked that far back in your catalog. You have to get Robert on because he can talk about it.
Yeah, he's already in the running for that one. He made it known that that's his shtick.
I'll do you one better. We have Robert pegged for what we're gonna call the Thorn movies, and then we have Robert for the entire fucking run. And the only thing about it is that I keep telling Robert, I'm like, dude, I don't know why you don't have your own show. We got to get you in front of a camera because he's the most dynamic person I've ever met. Only equaled by Clay McLeod Chapman. Their energy and their enthusiasm and their just be honest about it. Their kindness it's off the charts. These guys are gems. But I keep telling him, I'm like, dude, you need your own show. You're a very entertaining fella. So
he really was. He's a good time.
That son of a bitch gets a show, though. I want 10%. Atone, 10%, because I know you're listening.
And I would like to stake my claim for any and all films of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I can go knee deep in all of them. I don't know. Also, I think they're there, but yes. I will camp out in front of my computer. I'll run it on a generator wherever I have to go. I will do the whole franchise. This has taken a tangent, kind of like the tangent that I went on with Robert about the stuff that is not related to him, but it's fun. We have fun.
We did Halloween 3 with Robert, and at the 20-minute mark, we hadn't mentioned the title of the movie.
It was just us chatting.
Right. Matt, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but we're already going to have you back. So stake your claim on what movie you want to talk about.
Give me the trashiest ones you have. Give me your Phantasms. Give me your.
Phantasm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Phantasm is probably my go-to if I had to pick a big franchise or any Clive Barker movies. Those are always hot.
Oh, I like it a lot.
All right. There's quite a few. Yeah, quite a few we can choose from right there.
Yeah.
But also give me hey, we're gonna do the best and the worst of Full Moon. I'm like, I'm your Huckleberry. You know what I mean? I'll watch those things.
Best of Full Moon. I will stay out of the worst of Full Moon.
Oh, that's where the fun is. That's where the fun is. It's like drugs. It's some of the introductory ones are cool, but when you get into the real weird stuff, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness.
This is already giving me vibes that the second question is going to be really interesting, Sean.
Second question is going to take 45 minutes with these two. It's going to be
whole thing is going to be 3 hours, and that's fine. I got nothing.
It's a good thing I stretched.
Took
a baby aspirin.
Limber up. Up.
It's
rule number one, cardio.
Well, it's so funny
cardio,
that you met Robert. You had a meal with him, and it just turned into a great time. Because the next time we were recording with Robert, we agreed we were going to sit down for a couple of drinks and a meal. So don't be surprised if you get a phone call.
Let me tell you the truth about Sleepy Hollow.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna miss him when he moves off Long Island. But let's see. Let's see when it happens. He said not until the end of the year, so we'll see. All right, guys. Let's get into Late Night with the Devil. You know,
I
we'll start
guess.
cutting this up.
If we must, but yes.
All right. We're gonna do what Shannon and I like to call the hard yards first. So I just want to mention everybody, who's associated with the film. So we've got the directors. We've got Cameron Cairns and Colin Cairns. They wrote the film as well. We've got David Dasmalchian, Laura Gordon, Ian Bliss. We've got Faisy Bazi, who played Christou, who I thought
Christou,
I,
yeah.
I got a real kick out of him. Ingrid Torelli played Lily. We've got Reyes Atari, who played Gus, and Georgina Haig, who played Madeline, and Josh Kwong Tart, who played Leo Fisk. So that basically covers most of the major players in the movie. I saw it just this past week. Shannon saw it about a week ago. How far back did you guys check out the film?
About 2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks.
Okay. All right. So it only came out 2 weeks ago. It's still really fresh on everybody's mind. It did a little bit of digging around. We're gonna have to. You know what? Let me start with it, guys. Let me just start with it so we can just get it out of the way. Just address the elephant in the room. This film unfortunately got tagged with a big no by using AI. People that I respect greatly, reached out and said, "Look, I don't really know why you're talking about this film because." They're very passionate about, the stance of AI being used in creative entertainment, which I completely respect and I agree with wholeheartedly. But to that, it's a slippery slope because if we really put a line in the sand and said, we're not going to talk about this, we're not going to deconstruct this because of, well, shit, we wouldn't have been able to talk about Rosemary's Baby yesterday with Sadie Hartman because of Roman Polanski. We wouldn't be able to really mention any Hitchcock films because of Hitch and his creepy ass behavior with all of the blondes who worked in his movies. So I just wanted to put out there that I respect the opinions of everyone who reached out to me and said, but why? I hear you, and I agree with your passion, and I agree with your stance. But we will address that it was a real dumb thing for them to do. I don't really know why they did it. They used AI for 3 of the title cards, the interstitial title cards for the commercial breaks. It's mind-boggling why they would have done it because it's so fucking easy to have an artist create that.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out why. I tried researching why, and nobody made I have a feeling they're just not commenting on it right now. I don't know.
Yeah,
at least not that I can find.
I don't want to belabor this to death, which is probably already too late. But it was a dumb thing to do. I'm sure they regret it. I'm sure they didn't think that they were going to get found out, or perhaps they even forgot that it was done. Probably not. But I'm not going to provide cover for them. It was dumb. They did it. We've addressed it, and we can move on unless anybody wants to expand on it.
No, I mean, I couldn't tell when I saw the movie, but yeah, I didn't know. I mean, and I don't know. It seems like small potatoes for it to be 3 little things, but also why couldn't you you're like an artist, hire like someone's sister or something to do it. Like it was an easy fix. I don't get it. I don't think we should throw out the entire movie. But like this is a conversation that's going to be going on forever and ever,
right?
Until it finally rises, and I think it's bigger than all of us. But maybe somewhere in here is a good conversation to have about like Marvel movies using AI. Fuck right off. Like the big blockbusters go right to hell. But maybe there is some workable version of it for indie filmmakers. I don't know. Because I don't know. I'm not a visual effects guy, so I don't know at what point is it visual effects and at what point is it artificial intelligence and you not like doing anything. And I'm sure many people can answer the question, and listeners are screaming at their iPhones or Samsungs or apps like right now and can tell me. I would like to know. But but when I heard it, my reaction wasn't like, well, to hell with these guys. I was just like, oh man, that's a bummer. It would have been hell with these guys if I found out like all the effects were AI. Because
Right. It wasn't like finding out that the Blair Witch Project actually wasn't real. it wasn't like that.
what?
Wait, what? Yeah.
He was
Are we
standing.
having an
Oh.
intervention right now?
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah.
You're a liar.
I actually, it's funny. Like, I was thinking about this because I was kind of doing my weird, neurotic prep that I do, which is just sitting around pacing, thinking about the things I'm not going to try and say. But I was thinking, like, on the one hand, I understand the argument that, like, yes, you could have gotten artists to do that, but also look at, like, that's the kind of art that, like, a art department at a studio would produce, and, like, from a nameless source. Like, you don't know the name of the person who creates, like, all of the interesting, like, books and props that you see in various different parts of the background and scenery you see on sets. So I think to some extent their use of it, while probably not the best idea because of how simple would it be to do without it. Like, it's kind of like, why would we, kind of, what is it, cut your nose to spite your face kind of thing.
Yeah.
But instead, I think it's more speaking to this kind of, it's good that we're having the conversation about what is the role of AI in how we create going forward. And more importantly, to kind of what Lowell was saying about Marvel films, we're already doing this. Like, AI is actually being used to create a lot of the visual effects we're seeing. It's not generative. It's more like redundant code-based machine learning stuff. We're not, but it's like the world is changing. How we're going to use it to our advantage, how we're going to not let it take over us. That's a conversation we need to have because we are humans and that's what we do best. We create. That's one thing AI can't do. Like, it just can't create the way we can. So.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, look, it is, to Lowell's point, look, this ship has already sailed. This is going to be part of some sort of cinematic future. To say, like, it can't happen, it's not going to happen, I think is, geez, I can already see the emails, but I think it's a little naive. It's going to happen down the line. We just hope that we can facilitate a way that it's going to be beneficial to both the artist, the creator, and I don't know. I don't even know what that looks like.
I feel safe in saying we're old enough to remember the switch from film to digital, right? And like how that was supposed to be the apocalypse for some filmmakers.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them have embraced that medium. And so I think that change often comes with like a lot of resistance because change is hard and unfamiliar. But and granted, what we're seeing with the use of AI is somewhat, it's a little unnerving in some ways, but also we think about like, how do you make these things work for you? It's good for independence, right? It's good for them to have access to tools, be able to create, make their ideas bigger. But also, I think it will cause people to want to go back to like we're seeing a retreat to practical. I mean, wasn't the first Omen just shot in like 35 millimeter just to give it a 70s vibe? Like, we're going to see people using the tools of the trade to make their films authentic, real, genuine, and in some cases better for it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like the computer graphics of the new era, but people you could always dig back into the roots to create something new. And obviously that, I think this film is one of those examples, because the story basis, obviously possession films, we've seen it how many times. It's a very, very old, redundant concept. Yet this film in particular, I loved it. Honestly, I loved how it was shot. I loved the storyline. And I mean, David Dastmalchian, just so, but I don't know. What did you guys think about it?
Well, wait, I just want to address Matt's point real quick. The meme that I'm thinking of is the boyfriend walking down the street with his girlfriend next to him, and he's looking back at the other woman, and the girlfriend next to me is AI, and I'm looking back at 1968 Peckinpah squibs.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
16 millimeter, you're saying? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to belabor the point, but like, the people who really lean on AI, we're going to be able to tell, no matter how sophisticated it gets, it's going to look like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I mean, not just film to digital, but like also Napster, like the effect that Napster had. But maybe
Maybe start with Amityville. If it starts at Amityville, AI is definitely involved at this point. I'm pretty sure.
AI is just churning out Amityville, and Children of the Corn after Children of the Corn. That's a franchise for nobody. But anyway,
Children who like corn.
there are talk about tangents. there is not one single good Children of the Corn film. Some of them are watchable, but there's not a single good one, and there's like 11 of them. Who are these movies for? Anyway, Late Night with the Devil.
Nice segue.
Yeah. So I really liked parts of this, but honestly, one of the reasons I chose Late Night Devil was because I'm not entirely sure exactly what happened or what the movie wants me to wonder what did and didn't happen. So I was kind of hoping you guys might be able to fill a little of that in for me, because it was certainly good enough to the point where I wanted to know like what was happening. But like, the effects were great. David Desmalchin, like, I'm so primed to like this movie. I have missing pieces that I need help with.
Yeah, I definitely saw like you know, a character story with, you know, obviously with Jack Delroy. That's what made Dastmalchian, I think, really sell this role. You know, like it was his last attempt to beat out, you know, Johnny Carson was the coup de grace, right? And so almost like anybody like us, like on YouTube or podcasting or whatnot, how far would we go to get those likes, those viewers? Though, like, how far would you go? And I think ultimately he ended up, you know, like there's definitely a hint that I think he sold his soul, maybe a little bit, you know, like even everything going on like behind the scenes. Oh, he's like, oh, Chris Duke died. Well, on with the show, you know, like just
That red light flashing, he's like, all right, gotta go back. Yeah.
yeah, just like he's like, okay, well, okay, but how do I look in this light? You know, like maybe not that maybe not that dismissive, but there was definitely a little bit more to him. I mean, he's definitely a traumatized what's the word I'm looking for? He's very traumatized in the very beginning. You get that, you know, the what happened with his wife and everything. He's definitely hurting, you know, and this is his last attempt to try to boost his ratings, and he thinks he's saving his whole crew. Like, so if he's constantly justifying his actions to have this very controversial you know, subject on his show at a really fucking scary time in America. Like 1970s was the whole like satanic panic. This is when serial killers were coming to you know, they weren't even nobody knew who they were. That, you know, like it baffled police you know, forces constantly. Like these guys are just killing for fun. Like there's no motive. Like, and no, we couldn't wrap our heads around it at the time. And on top of the past, you know, I mean, Sharon Tate's murder was 1969. That's still kind of fresh. You know, like people were
Oh yeah.
going fucking crazy this time. Assassinations on presidents were a lot more prominent. You know, and things of that nature. And I don't know, my rant's over now. I just think it was a very controversial topic at a controversial era in America.
Well, you know what? Let's roll it back. Let's start from the beginning and let's just fill it in. So, you know, to your point, Shannon, the film starts. All right, you know, Jack is trying to get some of the mojo back, so to speak. Halloween, an episode with you know, an on-air exorcism, you know, more or less, on Halloween night. It's great. I love, just starting with the basics. I love the set decoration. I really did love. I love the direction of this film. I like the choices that they made, where the live broadcast was in color, and then when they weren't broadcasting, it was black and white. I think that was a smart choice. You know, it worked for me. I did like everything visually was, you know, because I'm an old man, felt very real. You know, I did grow up watching Johnny Carson, you know, and late night TV, so it did feel authentic, which I appreciated. They, you know, they put their effort in, they put their work in, and I really think the charisma of David Dastmalchian is just, you know, he really carries the film. He does a great job. You know, it's his drive, but his sensitivity comes through, even though he is, you know, maybe not the best guy, and maybe he did sell a soul in the Grove. What happened in the Grove, everyone?
Yeah.
That's what well, you go first, Matt, because I keep pieces together for me, and then I'll respond.
Please, Matt, please.
Well, I can't answer the Grove question as much as just to kind of add on a few things, is that I think that this is absolutely like a showcase piece for Dastmalchian, where like he's, you know, I could kind of imagine that he either kind of they had him in mind or something along those lines, because it just feels like this was very much the part he was born to play, more or less. But he played so many amazing roles. Feels weird saying that, so it's kind of like he's had so much greatness, and now he continues to deliver more of like a singular performance, where he typically is more a part of an ensemble. But beyond that, like I feel like sometimes I'm spoiled by the fact that I watch too many fucking movies. And like sometimes like it kind of makes it where it's like, oh, that's movie's kind of like that movie, or that movie's kind of like that movie. And you start to draw a comparison. And obviously comparison is not the idea of any creation usually, unless it's the Italians and we're talking about Alien or Terminator, because they just love to just rip that off. But I think that like to that extent, like having seen movies like Ghost Watch and the WNF Halloween special, I feel like there was a decision made at some point to make this a narrative movie, but then make it a found footage movie. And there isn't an agreed upon tone, which kind of makes it an interesting watch. You get this amazing Michael Ironside opening with like, this huge bombastic like introduction to like what is essentially, what Shannon was talking about is like the absolute one of the darkest times in American history, because we had like, hey, post World War II, shit's going pretty good over here. Oh yeah, nuclear flaming. Wait a minute. Oh my God, drugs, rock and roll, sex. Wait, no. And now we're in the 70s and like serial killers. So I think that to some extent they have a hard time deciding, do we want this to be a really authentic kind of piece of like found footage that like represents like something that just goes for authenticity, or do we want to tell like this really interesting story? Because essentially the last 10 minutes is all exposition to explain to the audience what you can't do in found footage, which is like you can't explain to people just right to the camera. You have to kind of go out of that aesthetic and move into like a narrative tone. So I have mixed feelings on it, but there's a lot I do like about it. But I think a lot of it comes from like, what does this want? What does this want from me as a viewer?
That's a good question, actually.
I agree with Matt and Lowell. The three of us are on the same page. I liked so much about this film. I do think that it was a little muddled as far as the narrative and the found footage aspects. To your point, Matt, in the third act, it ramps up, and this is a film where I'm like, yeah, okay, it stuck the landing. I don't know what that was, but I think it stuck the landing.
It did though, right? Like it works. I'm like, I don't know what worked, but I like this.
You're for it.
I'm full. That's good.
Yes, respect, but I couldn't tell you what happened in those last 7 minutes. From a narrative standpoint, that makes a lot of sense to me. But I left the theater and I was like, satisfying ending. Yes, it was. And I'm like, what? Okay. I befuddled myself.
I don't think it's not going to be one of those films though, where it's definitely not meant to, how like some movies you catch more things the second time you watch it. So I have a feeling when it gets released on Shudder, I have a feeling I'll give it another go, or at least just that maybe the third act portion, and see like what did I, what like maybe I can piece together a little bit more.
But can I ask a question for everyone? Did you feel like the Grove, the Grove piece of the script was just shoehorned in there? Because it's like, here we have Jack and he's trying to get he's trying to get back on top, and it's been a real struggle for him, but also I think he sold his soul and he goes to the woods and he hangs out with a lot of creepy guys, but let's not pay attention to that. Commercial break. It just it slid in there so fast.
Well,
the thing is,
go ahead.
Sorry. We're pros at this.
Yeah.
I don't think he sold his soul. I think he sold his wife's soul. And the movie was about the devil going, that's not enough. And like he has to pay for it.
Look at you saying, I don't know what I saw. I don't know what happened.
Well, that's like part of it, but it's also like the little girl who survived, like you clearly know where she came from because you went to the woods to pray to that. Well, now we're jumping all over the place, but
that's okay. We do that a lot.
But that's kind of what I mean is like the movie, like it kind of has to divulge all this exposition to you at the end. And it takes you out of that like found footage, because found footage is all about you're experiencing the same thing as they are at the same moments. Nobody knows anything else. And now we're actually getting context that nobody else has. And part of that is like done so in like a, Terry Gilliam, Fear and Loathing Las Vegas kind of way, where we're getting all these colors and gels that are making us believe like we're seeing like a flashback of some sorts. And so I think there is this element of like, it's not answering the full question what exactly happened in that grove. It's more just saying like some nefarious things happened, and this was all this wasn't a coincidence as much as this was like the inevitable end that happens when you play with the devil. So it's almost like, oh, the end is the beginning, kind of thing, and we're seeing that beginning right at the end, which is again it's interesting, but it also is like, if you have to explain this to me this way, then maybe I think about how maybe to put that into the script, like within the found footage. Like, how do we make that work within found footage? Like, how do we get that otherwise?
Yeah.
And maybe you can't, which is maybe the problem.
Yeah. And that club is still very much a mystery to everyone other than the elite group that's obviously in, it's rumored that they had these crazy, rituals and, would pray to the owl statue that's at, wherever at the front of the entrance or something like that. Other than, all is that very, very, very high end people, including presidents, and on top of celebrities and whatnot, have participated in going to this. What the hell is it not San Diego, in Sonoma County, California. So it still exists, and it's still a mystery.
I mean, I think it didn't have to be the woods. Like, I kept thinking like the vision was gonna take them into the woods at some point, but I don't know if this is the writing or just David Desmalchin's choices as an actor, but you do believe he loved his wife. And I clocked that he sold his wife's soul like as soon as like she died of cancer in the beginning. I'm like, oh, he screwed over his wife. I don't know if it was like a reluctant decision or when he came to regret, but I did believe that there was love there. But I don't understand, if you're in with this cabal of Satanists and you kill your wife to get success, why are you inviting one of the Satanists who survived the Satanists dying on your show? Like, I thought that was going to be like a twist where he's like, you killed my wife and now I'm going to take the last of you. I'm going to take your sacred vessel. But maybe that's just backseat writing.
I need some clarity, gang, because when Lily is tied to the chair and then she turns, head down, and there's that great effect where she is someone different, and then that person is talking directly to Jack and saying, you know me, you remember me. Was that who was sacrificed in the grove? So that Jack, because Lowell, I'm with you.
I think that's the demon that came from the, right? Like, it's like the demon they brought back or whatever is like, that's what knows him. That's what I read from it.
Yeah, like I feel like she might have been commenting on one of the rituals that they may have had.
All right.
I'll admit I have to watch that part again. I couldn't get over. I mean, and granted that I did find out that this was very much on purpose. I couldn't get over how much she looked like Linda Blair, which was a nod to The Exorcist, and in more ways than one. Right, Mr. Wriggles was her demon. Captain Howdy.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice nod.
I described this movie to like a few other friends as like, it's not something I will watch maybe again, because I think you do get a lot from a first viewing, and maybe and listen, I'm actually open to be challenged on that too. If like someone goes back and is like, wait a minute, all the questions you guys are asking, it's in the second watch. Okay, maybe it is, but and I will hear that argument and probably go watch it again. But to that end, I also think it's a great movie to put on for people that don't watch a lot of horror movies, because I think it's one of those movies that like can transcend beyond what just like the genre fans will appreciate, because it does have kind of this universal appeal of, this nostalgia is always going to bring people in because people like to look at something, old timey. In this case, it's just the 70s, but it's got a cool vibe. But it's, I think that has a good quality, and it's great. It's like a great Halloween movie to put on, like something that's like, oh, let's get, it's a great like one shot, like this is happening in this moment. I would love, like, I feel like this is almost adapted from a play of some sort. Like, I feel this could have been great, like on a stage or something along those lines. And I think what really carries it is the performances. Like, every single person in this is delivering. forget the is it Ian Bliss who's the guy who plays the skeptic?
Carmichael.
Oh
Yeah,
my god,
like
he was
he's
great.
great.
He is.
And like the things that they do with his character at the end, I'm like, I don't know why you're doing this. It makes no logical sense, but yes, keep doing it. It's like a Fulci movie. It's like there's no reason why there's just bodies appearing out of the walls. But you know what? Give me more of that.
Yeah.
And why are the tarantulas falling everywhere? Just more of it, please. I don't care why.
And even Dash Malchin, just to piggyback on that for a second, like the real testament to how good he is in this was that he's charismatic. You buy him as a host, but he is not over the top. It would have been such a temptation for some actor to be like Stanley Tucci in the Hunger Games. Just like, we're here, and like you feel like his performance within the performance, and like his humanity, and that he misses his wife. Like you get all of that with him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the biggest compliment for all the actors in the movie is that when the film started, of course, I was just laser focused on Jack, David Dastmalchian's performance, and I started recasting in my head everyone else. It's just a stupid habit I have, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, Steve Buscemi would be good here, and maybe Clancy Brown over there, and
they're all Muppets.
Yeah.
That experiment.
20 minutes into the film, 25 minutes into the film, I took it all back. And I'm like, no, everyone's doing a bang up job. No recasting necessary. Everybody really did bring it. I mean, acting is just off the charts in this film.
Especially Ingrid Torelli. So that was Lily.
Yeah.
And on an interview that I found with Dastmalchian, he said that like he was like, I don't know, like roaming around on set, I guess, and he walked past her dressing room, and she was in the mirror, like looking at herself in the mirror. I don't know about you guys, but her smile really, really unsettled me.
Yeah.
And she was practicing her smile in the mirror. And he like stopped to like look at her for half a second. He's like, I got freaked out, and Dastmalchian ran away. but I thought she was really great.
She had that smile, like she knows that it's over the top, but like she knows that she's into it. Like she's in on her own joke, and like she wants you to know she's in on her own joke. So it's like it's a little bit more complex than I think it's easy to write off as like, oh, that's a little corny. But the more you watch it, it's like, no, she is keenly aware of like she's putting on a show, but she's all like even the way she looks at the camera, the certain direction, like there's just those little nods that that really sell that authenticity. And I think that's why, like, even though, I don't love found footage movies, it's like probably, middle of the road for me as far as genres go. I think the more they could have gone into that, the more that actually works to its favor with some of the choices they made. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of wish that there's a version out there where they don't go all hallucinogenic, and they do try and keep a lot of that stuff grounded. It's almost like in Nope, where they don't really show you what happened with Gordy, but you see enough to know that like you kind of want to see it, but you also don't.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of how I feel here. Like there's stuff that I feel like we could have seen that we didn't need all that background for. Again, the background's interesting. Like I want to watch that prequel. Like that's a compliment to the movie. Is like I want to watch the prequel about the secret society, Cabal and Sonoma that clearly probably knows their wine, but also probably gets mixed up with their baby blood. So I want that story just in a different movie, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Who knows? We could get it. The film's doing pretty well.
I actually have a question for you guys. What do you think of you've heard that it made 666,000.
That's such a marketing ploy. Oh my god!
That's what I said. I was like, that's such bullshit. Like it's such bullshit. And they keep saying like, no, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, you could, like purposely not track a certain amount of receipts. Run track.
I hope the intern that thought that scheme up, I hope they took them to lunch. All right.
It's like when the Omen remake came out on Tuesday, June 6, 2006.
2006, yeah.
Like it's 6/6/2006.
Yeah.
But,
that was that movie wasn't good.
Let's talk about
Dust.
I
said it.
What do you guys think about the sidekick? Because that's an important part of a late night show.
Yeah.
I thought Gus was good.
Yeah. I liked him. I there was an interesting, like the character, again, there's so much complexity to these characters that I think it's a testament to like good development. that you want to know more about them, because you kind of get this guy who's clearly a bit sheepish, but as time goes on, you realize like his confidence lays more in his faith, and like that's clearly being tested. And so he's scared shitless because like when you challenge people who are very resolute in faith, like if they lose that, like everything else crumbles.
Yeah.
So it's like I think seeing his kind of decomposition and like his fear was a barometer for how the audience should feel. And again, I think he did a great job. Like he's no Ed McMahon, but he was pretty good.
He's got
He was. I thought he nailed it for sure. All right, I'm going to throw this out there, and let's see if we get to agree or disagree from you guys. So when everything culminates and Lily levitates and the electricity is coming out of both hands and shit hits the fan, I immediately was like, oh my God, this is like the best segment in the VHS series that I've ever seen.
Yes. I was like, this is a feature length VHS segment. That's essentially what this is. And I love those, but I also get confused by a lot of them as well.
Yeah.
So I thought it really fit. But I'd love to see these guys tackle the VHS.
It just had that vibe. I guess it's also like the indie vibe. You know, they're doing a lot with a little, but it just felt like it. And I was like, fuck, yeah, if this was in the VHS series, this would be the best of the bunch, you know? So I love that you...
It's tension building. I think there's good pacing. Like once the thing, like, I mean, it's like 20 minutes of setup, right? We get like 20 minutes of basically like where we are in this place in time. And then we get, 5 to 10 minutes of banter before we realize, oh, we're staying late. Right. And then it kind of kicks in. And I think that tension building works really, really well to the film's favor, because that's usually where you lose people is like the middle of the film. Like this, the second act is like, got to find a way to keep this interesting. But I think they do that with, kind of slowly building in more and more shit. Because even that scene you're talking about where she levitates, that's like not even the end. That's not even the third act, right? We're talking like second act right there stuff. So like there's still more to come. And I think that they have like a lot of tricks up their sleeve, which again works, because I don't know if that would have been the big push and they would have just had film after the rest, it would have felt like, oh man, you just blew it way too soon and had nothing to follow up with, but apparently had way more crazy ideas than just that.
What do y'all think of the misdirect that may not be a misdirect in the very, like maybe the first 10 minutes when Jack is interacting with the audience and there's that one solitary person in the skeleton costume who's being very still. And the whole movie, I'm like, when is that skeleton? When's that gonna, pay off? And it didn't. And I kind of love that.
Not yes and no. Like he was clearly part of the Grove,
but unexplored.
At the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe he's the leader or he's not.
I like a little mystery thrown in.
Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like Alice Cooper in Prince of Darkness or something. You just kind of put him right there in the beginning. What's he going to be doing all day? Oh, he's filled with roaches now.
All right. Let's leave the film for a moment. I just want to talk about this moment in time with cinema, because we have Immaculate, we've got The First Omen, and we have Late Night with the Devil. So this is, I can't remember the last time that we had three, in theater releases, very devil-centric releases in theaters within a month's time. I mean, it's kind of great. It's an embarrassment of devil riches, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, only to be outmatched by two killer spider movies in the month of April, Infested and Sting. Not going to get through an episode without mentioning Infested. But I kind of love that we're getting all this devil goodness. But I'm also thinking like, oh shit, maybe if we had it spaced out a little bit more, we can keep this party going indefinitely through 2024. But who knows what's going to pop up later in the summer and the fall. But I really like it right now.
Yeah, it's an exciting year so far. Like I don't remember horror being this prominent this early in the year.
24 is shaping up to be a banger year.
Mm-hmm.
I probably just drinks the hell out of it, but it feels like it.
No, I don't think you have actually.
There's a lot. All right, you know what? All right, we'll come back to Late Night in a moment. But Shannon and I were talking about this on our Shortcuts episode. There have been so many trailers out recently that you're just like, no fucking way, no fucking way, no fucking way. You've got Cuckoo, you've got Long Legs, you've got oh my god, The Nature of Violence. Am I fucking that title up? I feel like I am.
Violent Nature.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
A Violent Nature.
Yeah, Violent Nature. Thank you. You know, when I saw Late Night with the Devil, there were 6 trailers. You've got Abigail coming out for like a fun popcorny kind of, good time at the movies. There are all these horror films coming out, and every single trailer I saw, they got better and better and better. And I don't mean better in like, yeah, we're going to enjoy them because we love horror. I get that, but the craft that is in the trailer blew me away. Like Cuckoo, I almost got up and started going in a circle. I didn't know what to do with myself when I saw this damn thing.
Same.
Long Legs, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And it's only the trailer,
Yeah.
What have you guys seen that is exciting you?
Oh, like what's coming up? I mean,
Yeah.
well, I'm cautiously optimistic because, and I think Matt would agree with me, 2022 was just a disgusting riches of, like, Smile wasn't even on my top 10 in 2022. It was just a disgusting amount of great stuff. 2023, I feel like we couldn't even look at it really objectively because we were just hungover in the best way from the
Still
previous
high
year.
off 22, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I couldn't really reach the high of 22 until I saw Thanksgiving in November. And I'm like, right into the veins. That's the stuff. So I am, you're right. It does look incredible. Abigail looks like fun. I am in the tank for anything Osgood Perkins does. Blackcoat's Daughter is one of the best horror films in the past 10 years. Come at me. Best thing Emma Roberts.
No, high five. Love that movie.
God, to the point where like it when it finishes, when it cuts to black and you realize that's the movie, I was just like, I don't always say this, but I'm like, yeah, that's a masterpiece. That is a movie that I'm going to be screaming from the heavens, you have to see this.
And that's the movie that you tell people who like horror who haven't seen it. You're like, you got to see this movie.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's hard to tell with trailers how they're going to be. God bless the trailer editors because they make everything look great. Dan Stevens is just killing it.
He has clones. He's in everything.
Dan Stevens in 2024 so far, Dan Stevens has the crown for Scream Queen of 24 right now.
He's in was it 3 movies already that are about to, like, either one that's already out and 2 that are coming out? I mean, I think I share this sentiment with Lowell that like I think it's very easy like to get excited about what's happening, but I also think that there's another component here that's like I think it speaks more to like our culture of like content and how produced it and how much of it is we're getting. Is that we're kind of getting this like shotgun effect of horror right now. Like you just kind of mentioned it, Sean, around like we just got a bunch of like Italian inspired nunsploitation and religious horror movies. Then we're getting some spider movies, which by the way, like no one had insects in their bingo card for horror anytime soon.
No,
we're getting a killer baby, like a killer girl vampire that's like going full R. And then we're getting into like Maxine later in the year, which is looking to be more and more like just like, I mean, whoever cut that trailer deserves all the money in the world because that thing is just, it made me moist. But I mean, we haven't even seen like the trailer for Eggers.
It's like, I see you, Ty West. Like,
I mean, that's the only trailer where they use the slow down old song. And I'm like, you can do that. You can do that here. But everything else doesn't. No, you lose that privilege. But we also have like things to look forward to that we haven't seen yet. Like Eggers' Nosferatu, which is going to be coming. And I mean, we're getting that movie on Christmas, right? Furiosa's coming.
Wait.
Like there's just so much happening that I think the unfortunate byproduct of this is like, we have a hard time consuming it all and like being able to hold it all with enough like critical space to like actually like think about it. And like maybe some of these movies don't require that. Like I don't think Abigail is going to require me to like reflect on my life and my place in it. But like it does also mean that like, we have so much of this now that's appealing to everything that I kind of hope to some extent we get it's all good. And we found a way to like just kind of democratize subgenres. So now everyone's just making a bunch of subgenre films. We just flood the market with everything because horror always makes money, right? People always will see it. It's always relevant.
Always saves Hollywood. Always.
Yeah.
Always
Universal doesn't exist without Dracula. Like it's in the history books.
A few times.
Be here. Yeah.
A few times.
So I think like we're just
Universe movie. If only they got there, they could have done it again.
But
All right.
we need more like conversations. Like, I mean, I think we need more good film conversations, because I think what we risk losing with so much content is like having the chance to talk about it critically, and just not treat it as like, all right, how was it? Let's move it. Like, let add it to my letterbox and continue, right? Like, because some of these movies we're going to want to go back and see. And I often think, like, what are the movies that are coming out today that I'm going to want to watch 10 years from now, 10 years, again, 10 years from now?
It's great.
Right. When Evil Lurks is absolutely going to be up there. Like, that's, I mean, I'm going to watch that like on my birthday every year. Like, that's my treat to myself, you know, but there's just like, I mean, I think we're in a good time where like, we're going to get, it's almost like the 80s, probably people in the 80s probably felt it's like, oh, there's so much. Right. And then now we have to sift through it and mine for the gold and the,
Matt, I've got a little treat for you.
And that's okay.
Cloud Chapman coming on to talk about When Evil Lurks in a couple of months. And then we have Neil McRobert from the Talking Scared podcast. He's coming on to talk about Damien Rugna's Terrified. So that's gonna
I love that. That one has some images that, I mean, his movies are good at, if there's one thing I will give him outright every time, he will always show you something that will stick with you, that you'll have never seen before, and that you will not be able to dislodge from your brain. And that's the boy at the table and Terrified, and that's the fucking dog scene in When Evil Lurks.
How about the dog scene in When Evil Lurks? I don't know. Maybe it's 90 seconds long. Maybe 2 minutes max. And it is, those 2 minutes were better than most of the films that I had watched for the past 6 months. And I mean, though I don't want to put the boots to all those movies. You know, they were fine in their own regard, but the craftsmanship and the pacing and the dread that went into those 2 minutes just erased everything.
Feel good movie of the year, right?
From the start with the dog to the very end of that sequence, like when the car comes around, like that, I don't know if that was the 2 minutes, but like that sequence is like one of the best things I've seen in horror in years.
Thank you.
Which is why the ending was so disappointing to me, because I was like, no, the rest of it was great, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Tough one. There's so much on the plate there. Tough one to stick the landing on that one, but oh, for fuck's sake! All right,
to bring this back to Devil.
Have you guys back?
I do have a connection back to Late Night with the Devil, though, is that I think that like what we're getting is like an era of horror, though, where we're not afraid to show the good stuff. Like, we're not afraid to get a little goopy. And we saw, like, you know, found footage-esque films typically didn't go too much into gore, just largely out of like budget, right? Like, they're not known for that. But over the years, we're getting a lot more of it. And I think Late Night with the Devil definitely delivers some extra goopy scenes. So like, for, you know, the folks that love their practical effects, like, I think that we're seeing a lot more of that, which I think is actually what makes horror continuously appealing. Is it's some of the only filmmaking that makes you question if what you're seeing is really real or not. Like, because you know, if it's practical, they had to make that real. So you're like, okay, so someone can do that. Like, my wife's a surgeon. I ask her all the time, like, can you do that to a head? She's like, I don't know. I've never fucking crushed a head with like a ton of bricks. I'm like, wait, you guys, that's not what you guys do.
I'll admit I'm always yelling at in various movies. It doesn't have to be just horror. The whole like neck breaking. You can't go up to somebody and just turn their head or their neck is broken. I'm like, that's not how you break a neck. And my husband will look at me like, why do you know how to fucking break a neck? And I'm like,
the three of us are looking at you saying the same thing in our heads right now.
I'm over here like, I know. I prepared for this.
I used to take martial arts, and one class that I took went away to a convention where like a bunch of martial artists came from all over the world teaching various classes. And I literally took a class on how to properly kill people. Would that have saved you if you were Jack Delroy? If you just kung fu'd the devil late night? That's the devil's weakness. It doesn't know Wing Chun. It only knows like judo. You know, like it only knows how to throw you. It can't like
doesn't know
really
tiger praying.
Doesn't.
I don't know. It's you do have to get in a perfect position first. But yeah. But random fun fact.
All right. Now I'm scared to record with Shannon in the studio alone. All right, that's great for me. We're gonna go
bring up Infested one more time, Sean.
Your opinion is shit. We'll go around the horn, starting with Shannon, and then Lowell, we're going to go to you, and then Matt will finish with you. I want to know, you can only pick one movie. What is the perfect watch along for Late Night with the Devil? You got to pair it up, double bill. What's going to be?
I'm having a hard time pairing it with anything. Like, because it's either I go, what do I go, possession, or do I go found footage? I mean, the only thing, I mean, there's a lot of nods to The
Dealer's
Exorcist, so
choice.
I probably would go back to The Exorcist. Honestly.
Okay, respect. Why not? Sounds great. Great double bill. Lowell, what do you got?
I am straight up cheating and saying VHS 85.
That's not cheating at all. I love it.
Well, because it's like a bunch of mini movies, but you got the hell the segment where they go to hell from the Deadstream people, and you have the Double Dare one from Flying Lotus.
Perfect.
So with Possession and Hell, totally fits.
And the vibe is consistent all the way through that double bill. I love it. All right, Matt, what do you got?
I feel like a cop out saying Ghostwatch, but I just feel like it's such a good pairing for this because I think they both do exactly what they're trying to do very well. And it's interesting, I think, to put them right next to each other. I also think Deadstream was a great one to put next to us, but it's just so recent that I'm like, it's. I almost feel like it's always nice to pair an old with a new. So that's where I'm going. But if I had to like really say with my heart, like Deadstream would be a perfect one to go with this because they're just so much fun.
Yeah.
Right next to each other. Everyone would leave with such a big ass grin on their face. You know, that horror grin. You're like, I want to see that again, you know?
Great double bills. You stole my fucking double bill, Matt, because I was going to say Ghostwatch. So you know what? I'm going to think on the fly, and I'm going to go with Warren Oates and Peter Fonda in Race with the Devil. We'll stay with we'll stay with the Satanic Panic.
There you go. Nice.
All right, gang. I think we did justice to Late Night with the Devil. Sinners, go out there and see it if you haven't seen it. Is it a perfect film? It is not, if you are. But there's a lot of craft on the screen. The acting is fantastic, and I think you're going to like it. So we'd love to hear feedback. But now we go into our 3 questions.
Can I hold that for 1 second?
Sure.
Because you said Race with the Devil. I have this book, and I interviewed this author, Phantom Limbs, by Jason Jenkins, and it's all about unmade horror sequels, reboots, remakes, and the whole thing is incredible. He covers all 3 of the unmade Lucier Todd Farmer drafts of Hellraiser.
Nice.
But in here is the unmade remake of Race with the Devil, written by Drew McWeeny and his partner.
What?
So I just had to say, like, this book, I'm a sucker for unmade horror, and this was like a holy grail. As soon as I found out about this, I was like, hey, can I get like a review copy and talk to the author forever? But yeah, if you like Race with the Devil, what they do here is kind of cool.
This is a crazy coincidence, but Rebecca McKendry, I'm going to have to check her Instagram post, but I swear to God, Lowell, Rebecca
she just posted
that goddamn book up today.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, make the rounds. Yeah, I talked to him for the site. Like, I posted it last month.
Not like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, but like, yeah, and he had a column on Bloody Disgusting where he did a bunch of these movies, but none of the movies from Bloody Disgusting are in the book. The book is all new. You want to know about Land 3? You want to know about Halloran, the unmade Dr. Sleep prequel?
I want to know about all those. Please.
Here comes the unmade sequel airplane.
Choke on it, fool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know him personally, but I just heard Race with the Devil, and I'm like, here's a tangent. So,
God damn it! All right, I'm getting that book. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Lowell,
another book to have to your collection, Sean.
I know.
That's what I'm here for.
We're going to start with Lowell. Matt, we'll go to you. So question number 1 is, give us your scariest experience. Could be a movie. Could be you walked into your kitchen and there was a headless ghost. So just what's the scariest experience you've ever had?
Oh, my God. I was... I mean, you know what? I'm going to eschew the opportunity to tell the story of when I saw Hereditary in the theater, because that's not the scariest experience, but that's yours. It's more funny than not. But when I was a kid, my parents were out for to dinner or something. I was hanging out in the basement, and it's not like a creepy basement. It's like, a 70s house basement of like a split level house. So you can kind of see the upstairs. There's like a den with a TV, and I could have sworn I heard footsteps upstairs, and I was like, but it's kind of an old house. It's windy outside. Could it be?
Creek?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
You're
Yeah.
rationalizing.
Yeah, I'm like 10, 11 years old, and I love horror at this point. I got into horror when I was 6. So I'm telling myself, no, no, it's nothing. But like I keep hearing it, and I go to my dad's office downstairs and I just call the cops, and I'm like, hey, I think there's someone in my house. And they come and they look, and it was nothing. But I was just like, oh man, I'd be dead in a horror movie. I just
Yeah.
called the cops. It was really like, oh my god, like there could be someone up there. Like the thing that you see in horror movies all the time was something that I actually felt for a second, and I was like, wow.
Dude, it seems like there was someone up there. I think you dodged a bullet.
Yeah, he could
Yeah.
have escaped.
I mean, that explains the hook that was on my front door, but
Yeah.
That's not funny, man. Now I'm going to have nightmares. All right, Matt, what do you got?
I was such a delinquent that like all mine involved like running away from something. So, I don't know. I was a real shit stain when I was younger, and so like I used to throw eggs at cars as a shit stain would. And one time we busted a hubcap off a car, and I grew up in Arizona, so guns are like oxygen tanks around there. And so per person called their car over. We hid in the wash, which is just our fancy word for the desert. And yeah, we just kind of hung out there for like an hour, being as still as possible. It kind of felt like we were doing our best Vietnam impression, just trying to get found. And then at the second we got up, there were cops there, and so we just booked it, and they chased us through the desert. All of us got away, but yeah, it was terrifying. I was like 12. I was like, I don't want to go to jail. Oz had just come out on HBO. I'm like, no, this is not what it's like.
I'm going to do my quick impression of Matt back then. Yeah, I was in the shit.
Oh, you mean the eggs? Oh, I can tell you all about those shells. They were everywhere, runny as hell.
You punk
I
bastard!
sound like Grandpa Simpson or like some raspy Simpson character. Like like
Yeah.
Mo, like the drunk
that
Mo
was
or some
the
shit.
title of the day.
Yeah, you kids and your music.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. That was pretty scary.
All right, Shannon, hit these guys up with question number 2.
All right. So what
Wait,
is
hold on. You only get to pick one movie. I'm looking at you, Matt.
You can look at both of us. I'm going to hem and haw like you've never seen.
I'm gonna restrain myself.
All right. If it has to be more than one, maybe 3. But the question is, what is a trash movie that you love that you'll defend to the death? It typically has a poor poor fan base, but you're like, no, this movie's great. No.
That I think is great, but not like it's so bad it's good, but one that like I legitimately
No,
can
it could
defend.
be one that's so
Well,
bad.
it could be. It could be on that level. It's so bad, it's good.
There are so many. Give me 10 minutes.
Okay, I already have like 27. So
Top 3.
I would have to say
Top 3.
one is it's called Slaughter Day. It's by the Cousins brothers, is their name. 2 brothers from Hawaii.
Okay.
They shot this on video. They did the entire thing themselves, and they filmed some pretty.
Sorry, I haven't heard about this at all. But everything Matt is saying, I'm just loving. I'm
Yeah.
loving it so much.
It came out on Visual Vengeance about 2 years ago, so it's out there on physical media. If you want to, probably you can find it on Tubi, I'm sure. But it's one of the most amateurish horror films you're ever going to see. But there's so much heart in it that you can't help but be like, fuck, they really were this looks better than some movies with budgets, even though it's poorly made in every regard. But they're really going for it and almost dying most of the time. So it's not like it's it's kind of like The Baby in Eraserhead. Like somebody loves it, but not the main character. So I love Slaughter Day. That's who it's for. That's for me.
Okay. It looks like you can rent it on Amazon for 99 cents.
It's worth every penny. Every penny. Literally. And no more, no less, but every penny.
Yeah, I'll get my schmeckles together.
I love it. All right, Lowell, you got one for us?
Yes. Okay. Well, I don't think people dislike this movie so much anymore, but it's absolutely perfect for what it is, and that's Deep Rising. Like it's just to a T the best Aliens ripoff. It's fun, like it's a case for Treat Williams to be like an action hero, like a
That
funny
ship
Bruce
sailed.
Campbell action hero. Now what? Like, come on, you got catchphrases. But yeah, Deep Rising, and I will also, well, all the Nightmare on Elm Street films except the remake. But
Mm.
lastly, I will. It's kind of indefensible, but it's so much better than people realize, and it's a testament to his talent. But My Soul to Take was Wes Craven's last script, like
Oh,
the last script that he
Right.
wrote, film
okay.
he directed.
Yeah.
It could have used another draft, but there is more wit and imagination. Even him, even like a few years away from passing away, like that movie is begging to be remade. He still had it. He was the ideas man until the end.
I'm gonna have
And
to
I
rewatch
always
it.
say, yeah, like just get past the Juno teen slang. Just like shove it in a hole and light it on fire. But like the rest of it is, it's, it you could show it in the highlight reel of his funeral because it
Solid. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that tomorrow because I haven't seen that since it came out. Yeah, I'm gonna check
Yeah.
that out. Good one. All
I
right.
forgot. I forgot about that one.
yeah, lots of people did.
All right.
Okay, but because Lowell picked two, I'm picking another one. It's
No,
Jason
I was
Goes to
just gonna
Hell.
say, Matt, you get another one.
I will die on the hill that Jason Goes to Hell is buried on.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I love all these answers. There's no bad answer, by the way. It's your,
No.
you guys get to
I'm
defend
be
your
up at
movie.
night, like, oh my god, I could have said this. I could have said this.
I
How
think
many back are there?
the only
Yeah.
one that we ever had a real reaction to was Andy Davidson, and I hope he's listening. Said Howard the Duck, and at the same time, Shannon and I both said, "Fuck you, Andy Davidson." We did not do
It's a
that.
modern masterpiece, and by modern I mean 80s, and by masterpiece I mean it's art.
Andy Davidson's the sweetest man alive. I really do hope he's not listening. All right, so our third question is a little contentious. I'll tell you why. When you hear it, you'll know why. But if you could remake one movie, and you don't have to the answer could be, I would never do that because all movies are, they are what they are. But if you could remake one movie, what would that movie be?
I think I kind of shot my wad with My Soul to Take because
You did
I've
say.
honestly,
You did say
because
that, yeah.
because Wes Craven has produced the remakes of his films, and I mean, The Hills Have Eyes. It wouldn't exist without the original, but it's a better movie. Sorry.
All right,
Uh,
well, let me put you on the spot then. Who's the director? You picked your
oh,
film, and I love it, but who would you like to direct?
who would I like to direct My Soul to Take? Oh god damn. It's gotta be a slasher. Uh I wanna see what Mike Flanagan would do with it. I mean, I'll watch anything he does, but maybe the monologues would stretch it out a little bit too much. But yeah, let's go with Flanagan. And also, real quick, I think we need another Nightmare on Elm Street film, at least to wash away the taste of the remake. Just remake the original, update it.
Still
Like
back there somewhere, like it's still lodged in that back
Yeah.
molar of history.
hit movies that chronicle a 1,000-page, like in a 1,000-page book. There's no, like, you watch those movies, they have the Nightmare on Elm Street remake locked and loaded. Just get a good director, a good script, and we'll be back.
Love it.
I'm going to super put you on the spot. Why don't you fucking write it? Because you're great at what you do. So why don't you do it?
Actually, I do have ideas. I have several ideas that I've already written down.
All
Because
right.
I'm not.
All right, we'll talk.
Anyway,
We'll talk.
the long walk to water. That's my style. We'll go on.
Matt, what do you got?
All right, so I have a couple, but I have conditions on one of them. So the first one is an easy one. It's Dr. Giggles. It's a perfect. It's perfectly up for a remake. Like it could easily be done with like an indie, like someone just taking it and like having fun with it. Like the setup is just it's easily reusable. And you could easily find someone as unhinged as fucking Larry Drake, to show up. So That's just a give me one. But the other one's the condition one, and this one I've thought long and hard about because the movie's very near and dear to me. And you think, why would you ever remake a movie that you love? And it's because I think that it's an incomplete film in all three of its versions, and that's Nightbreed. And I think that if Nightbreed were to get remade, the conditions I would have is that one, it has to be Guillermo del Toro doing it, if he's open, because I feel like he would understand the heart and the humanity that Clive Barker brought to the story and tried to bring to the characters. But the second is you have to use practical effects for 90% of the creature work. Because, and I know like saying 100% is not reasonable this day and age because there's going to be action shots where it just doesn't make sense, and obviously for safety reasons, yada yada. But I think 90% needs to rely on the practical effects and the makeup design, because what makes Nightbreed still one of the most interesting horror movies is that you have tons of creativity on display that is just like, you see it in glimpses. You're like, oh my God, that's the coolest monster you never get to see ever single. I bought a book of just Nightbreed monsters just so I could look at some of them because they're just so fascinating. So I think that there's something to that. And that story, like the director's cut is good. It's better than the theatrical as far as a complete story, but it also kind of diverges too much and like doesn't have the pacing right. The Cabal cut is just a labor of too much love. And the theatrical is so much fun because it's efficient, but I already know the story. But there's so much to tell about that actual story that he wrote that I think doesn't get on the screen. So that's the one I would vote for. But the easy one, like the slam dunk, someone take Dr. Giggles. I don't even think anyone cares about the rights at this point. Just fucking call it Dr. Sillies, and just make the same thing. Like it could be a slam dunk. All you need is $50,000 less.
Yeah, less than that.
These are great answers. You guys knocked it out of the park. Good stuff.
Speaking of Clive Barker, the answer that I would have given to that question a few years ago was Hellraiser.
Okay.
He got David Bruckner's Hellraiser, and it was like, for me anyway.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was
The
great.
new one, yeah.
I like parts
And
of it.
though
I like
love
him.
it, it is a childhood favorite. The Lost Boys has plot holes that you could drive a Mack truck through. So
I won't hear it. I warned you. You stay away from it. They'll talk about their holes. They're very, very sensitive about their holes. It's a great movie regardless because it's an ensemble cast giving great performances that tap into nostalgia that is lodged into like a good chunk of people living and breathing their lives brain today, living in North America and likely Latin America. Can't speak to other parts.
I
love it.
Matt.
More you can do with it. I broke Matt. I'm sorry, everybody.
I have like 5 Lost Boys t-shirts.
Oh,
like I think it's my favorite vampire movie. It is the epitome of cool in my opinion. And I have a shirt that I love to wear around that has you're a vampire. Wait till mom hears about this. Or you're blood sucking. I forgot. I'm fucking up
You're
the quote.
shit sucking vampire.
Yeah. Wait till mom hears about this. Like it's just.
Matt, we did an episode with John Lang and we talked about Lost Boys and Near Dark. No, shit, Fright Night. We talked about Lost Boys and Fright Night. Man, I might have to get you on an episode with John Lang. And he loved the movie, but I think that'd be a fucking trip to get you two.
Yeah. I just watched Fright Night. It was on Pluto TV, which is my new obsession because it's like basically having cable, but with Tubi. Like if Tubi ran like cable instead of having to pick things like a fucking human being, I just let the AI channel tell me what to watch. But they have a couple horror channels, and Fright Night was on, and I was like, oh, this movie's just so good. Like,
I love that movie.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's just there's very few vampire movies go full horror with like creature effects and like they're all the better for it. Name me a vampire movie that doesn't go full creature that isn't great.
It's got such a great sense of humor. I just love that film. Love it. So that concludes the Late Night with the Devil and our 3 silly questions for you. But now it's your podcast. You please use this time. Let our sinners know what to look forward to on Macabre Daily. Promote the hell out of whatever you have on the horizon. What can we look forward to?
I've got a bunch of interviews and reviews coming up. I just posted my interview with Larry Fessenden at the Blackout premiere.
I know you son of a bitch. I'm so jealous.
I met him and I was like, how do I talk to Larry Fessenden for 5 minutes. Oh, right, he made a movie. I will just talk about that new movie. It's a good movie. The review of that comes out later this week. And then next week, speaking of Lost Boys and Adam Marcus, I'm going to be at New Jersey Horror Con, which I've in Edison, New Jersey, which I've been to before, but this is my first time going as press for Macabre Daily.
All
So I'm
right.
going to be working the red carpet. I don't even know what that's like, but like, yeah, Adam Marcus is going to be there. There's a Hocus Pocus reunion. The other Frog Brother and Laddie from the Lost Boys. Just you see the website, it's going to be nuts.
Old bastard.
I need to find a day
That's
to like that
fantastic.
Friday because I thought I'd just be going for one day, but I'm like, got to
Don't
drink it in.
forget about us small people when you become a big shot, all right, Lowell?
Please, I'm riding your coattails right now. I'm literally on you guys' podcast. What else? Robert Atone interview. Yeah, just more interviews, reviews, and yeah. Man.
Well,
Love it.
you're fantastic at them, and I gobble them up. So keep them coming, all right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Lowell is really good with the interviews. I often find myself wondering how can I somehow steal his questions without straight up taking them. But I had a bucket list interview about a week ago with Don Mancini. So that's up on our YouTube channel, which was a good little chat. We're speaking of the rest of the cast of Chucky, hopefully sometime in the next week or so. Tomorrow I'll speak with Jaden Martell and Maxwell Jenkins about their new film Arcadian, which actually I was watching before this, and I was about 3/4 of the way through, 2/3 of the way through. It's pretty fucking good. Like, pretty fucking good.
That's great to hear.
With Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage is in it. Although he's, I think he's very tertiary in this, which is good. The two young ones get a chance to shine. So that's doing that interview tomorrow. Will be up later this week, along with an interview. With a review of that movie. And then I forget her name. It's Lauren something. She's the director and writer of Cinderella's Revenge. Going to be doing an interview with her next week, and I think that movie comes out near the end of this month. Looks to be kind of like a super gory B, almost like borderline B movie take on like Cinderella story. So
it looks super gory, which I'm down for.
Yeah, it does look super gory, right? It looks like super. I'm like, I don't know. This is either going to be like the wildest, strangest movie of the year, or this is going to be total shit. But you know what? I'm going to watch either way, and I'm going to love it either way. So.
Yeah, well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I can't direct people to your website. And also, you got to follow on your socials. I will post everything in our show notes, and just keep up the great work. Everyone on the staff just does a phenomenal job. And you know what? Like you could see, this is going to sound corny as hell, but I'm going to say it anyway. That's never stopped me. You can see how much fun everyone's having who puts Macabre Daily together. You can see how much fun you're all having. I like that. It's infectious.
Well, thank you. You asked at the beginning kind of how we got into this, and like the real answer is like I was buying too many fucking movies. I needed to want to start getting them for free. Now I have a different problem, which is like I have too many movies that some of which I just I won't watch again. So, I really appreciate you saying that. I also really appreciate you having us on and having us leave us some chances to talk about the site. Everyone that works on it does a really good job, and I think we're Lowell's one of the probably hardest working and most I'd say aggressive as far as getting out there and finding new folks to talk to, and so I'm just super appreciative that you all had us and invited me to go tangential on you like I do with Lowell every month.
It's only kidding. We're gonna bug you to come back, so don't worry.
Then you won't get rid of me. I already got my bags packed, so I got a cat.
By the way, speaking of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, that is a signed poster of Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street documentary.
Come on, Lowell. Show off like that.
I have the poster of the documentary. I will talk for hours.
His blood is actually red and green.
Like we will literally never sleep again.
Yeah.
Hey. See what I did there?
Try the veal.
Go see yourself out.
Yeah, right.
Well, Thank you all so much for coming on. We really did. We had an absolute blast, and I'm going to put you both on the spot. We're certainly going to have you back, and I really can't wait because this was so much fun.
This was a
Same.
blast.
Take us out of here, Shannon.
All right, Cinners, that's a cut.
Bye, everybody.